It is 10 days past my trigger shot, 9 days past my IUI, and 8 days past ovulation, I think. I'm not 100% sure when I ovulated, and I'm going to take a pregnancy test. I'm a little bit nervous now that I'm like sitting here about to do it, but I'm also not super nervous because, well, okay, first of all, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, I just decided to do this. So this is the worst time to do this. The main reason I'm not too nervous is because this is kind of more of like a baseline test. Like, if it was positive, unless it was like a dark, strong positive, then it's probably still the trigger in my system. Like, if it's light, it very well could be. And if it's negative, it doesn't necessarily rule out pregnancy yet because we're still really early on. So I'm gonna dip it. I mean, I'm saying I'm not nervous and I'm like, it's fine. I'm not going into this IUI expecting it to work for sure. I also said I wasn't gonna do this, and then here I am, like, well, I'm doing it. I haven't been doing a progression or anything like that. This is the first pregnancy test that I'm taking, which is also why I'm like, okay, this isn't going to mean anything really to me because of exactly that I have not done any other pregnancy tests. And I said I wasn't going to do this because if it's positive and it's not real, it's just gonna hurt my heart so much because for us, like, we're not having miscarriages. We just aren't getting pregnant at all. So I have not seen a positive pregnancy test since we've been trying. My battery died. I'm also not feeling super hopeful about this one, aside from the fact that I'm taking this so much later in the day than when you're supposed to. But because I did take an ovulation test, not first thing this morning, but around like 9 or 10 this morning, and it was the lightest I've seen it since I did my trigger shot, because I did the trigger shot and then for 4 days after I did an LH test every single day and around 4 o'clock, and every single time it was very positive. And then I stopped for a few days, and then the day before yesterday I took one, same thing, around like 3 or 4 o'clock, and it was still pretty dark. It wasn't positive. Like, I knew immediately it wasn't a positive, but it was dark enough that if you just looked at it really quick, you maybe would think it was a positive. But then today, it was considerably lighter, and that was earlier this morning. So yeah, which again, I've said this before, I know that an ovulation test is not the same as a pregnancy test, but the trigger shot is an HCG shot. And then following that, my OPKs were coming back really positive. So I have heard that they're molecularly similar. Oh my gosh, I have 2 minutes. I just want to like look at it right now. Maybe it's 3 minutes and not 5 minutes. Nope, 5 minutes. Okay. I also don't feel pregnant, and I know it's still very early, but I haven't been feeling any like implantation signs or symptoms. The only thing I've been feeling is occasional food aversions, nausea, and occasional vomiting, but that is 100% because of the metformin and not because of pregnancy, because that was happening last week before we even did the trigger shot, before we even did the IUI. So in a way, I guess that kind of helps. Like, I know that all of that is related to the medicine and not related to pregnancy. Okay, I'm gonna show you first. I'm really scared. I'm not, but I am. Like, I don't know. If it's like completely blank, I feel like that's gonna be the most disheartening, but at the same time, if there's a faint line, that's also just gonna be really hard to see, knowing that it's not definitive. There's a very, very faint line. It's very faint. I don't know if you can even, I don't know. I'll show you again just in case. Do I want to do this again in 2 days? I don't know. They told me not to test until 5 days from today. And this is probably exactly why, because this may or may not be accurate. Okay, so I might see you in 2 or 3 more days. I might just see you in the 5 days, because part of me feels like maybe it would be nice to just know a few days prior. Like, maybe that will soften the blow. I think what sucks right now is that it's obviously like it's positive, but I can't be excited about it. I can't be excited. Yeah. I'll see you whenever I decide to test again. All right, I wasn't gonna do this, but I texted one of my girlfriends the picture of the pregnancy test I took yesterday. She and I were kind of analyzing it together, and she was like, oh, I wonder what tomorrow will look like. And I initially was not going to test today, but I don't know. For some reason, that conversation kind of made me feel like, well, me too. So I already did an ovulation test. It's developing right now, like it's almost done. So now it's 11 days past trigger and 9 DPO. And I'm gonna use a different pregnancy test. This is the Walgreens test strip because I have so many of these, and I'm not gonna lie, like this is a very avoidant way of handling this, but I don't wanna do the OneFo because I don't wanna like see the comparison to what it looked like yesterday. I don't know. Okay, but I'm looking at the ovulation and it's pretty light, so that doesn't have me feeling so good. Also, this is my second morning pee, so I'm a little bit nervous because this should be a little bit more accurate. I think this test is less sensitive than the OneFo. I guess ultimately it doesn't really make a difference, but the reason I'm kind of nervous a little bit about this one is because this is a dumb thing to say. There's nothing to be nervous about as far as what it's going to show because it is what it is. The OneFo, I guess, could probably pick up on low levels of the triggers still in my system. This one might not. So like this one very well might be blank or almost blank. Whatever this is still not conclusive. I mean, you know, every day that goes by that it's like lighter instead of darker is not a good sign. So I think for sure tomorrow I'm probably not gonna test. I might test on Tuesday or maybe Wednesday morning, I guess, to prepare my heart for whatever it's gonna be. It's been 4 minutes, that's long enough. Okay, that I think is very negative. Oh, that has me concerned. I feel like I'm seeing maybe the tiniest little highlight of a line, maybe, but I mean, at first glance, that looks very negative. Okay, I'm gonna put it right here. I do feel like I'm seeing a tiny, tiny, tiny shadow of a line, but maybe I'm not. Okay, we're gonna say that that is negative. I'm honestly I'm tempted to do another one that's not this one. I guess just to like bring back some ounce of hope, but I already dumped my pee out. It's Tuesday. I'm gonna do 2 pregnancy tests, the OneFo and the Frida, and I know that this one is kind of finicky. I've used it before and there definitely was like an evap line or an indent line, but I think compared to this one, which I think is more reliable, I can use them together to maybe assess what's going on. And I'm gonna be using my second morning pee, so it should still be pretty accurate. So I'm gonna go ahead and dip these and then I will talk to you about what's going on. I'm not actually even fully sure how many days past trigger and ovulation I am, so I need to check really quick. All right, it's 13 days past trigger and 11 days, I think, past ovulation. At this point, I feel like these should be pretty accurate. Like, there should really not be much trigger left in my system at all. I did take a test yesterday. I didn't film it because I just wanted to just do one by myself and just to have a minute just to process whatever it was. It was very, very light. I did a OneFo. I could still see a tiny, tiny line, but it was pretty much negative. Like, I would say that that was likely just a little bit of leftover trigger. Honestly, I'm not feeling super hopeful. I can't remember if I said that the day the doctors told me to test was Thursday or Friday. I could have said either because I knew it was Friday originally, and then sometime last week I think I started saying Thursday. But I checked the paperwork and it is Friday, this Friday. So today's Tuesday. So 3 more days until I'm actually supposed to be doing this. But if these are negative, like I don't want to use that date to give me false hope. You know, like I feel a little bit better about it if these are negative since I've been doing this now for a few days and I've had a little bit of time to process what the reality might be. So I have been feeling a little bit nauseous today. I've made my son and myself hard-boiled eggs and I felt really hungry, but as I was peeling the eggs, I also felt like I was gonna throw up. However, I'm pretty sure that's just the metformin because it seems like for whatever reason, this dose of metformin that I'm on seems to just every here and there make me sick to my stomach. Because I think even if I was pregnant, this is very, very soon to be getting morning sickness. Okay, here is the Wanfo. Yeah. It's honestly, it's kind of the same thing as yesterday. Like I see a line. It's not darker at this point. I mean, I guess there must be still a little bit of trigger in my system because I think at 11 DPO, I would expect a more noticeable line. I'll show you again. I can see it. I don't know if you can see it. It's very, very light, but it is there. Let's do the Frida. I don't think I even see a line on this one. Like this one I would say is just negative, I think, which is interesting because the last time that I did one of these, I was seeing a tiny little indent or something, but maybe that one was just faulty or I don't know. Maybe I do see a little line. Okay, well, like I said, I do see one on this, but this one is supposed to be very sensitive, so it makes sense that this one would, I guess, still be picking up on some trigger in my system, and this one would not. It's what I expected. I think at this point, I probably will just go ahead and wait until Friday to do another one, especially because we're supposed to go to California tomorrow to go to Disneyland for my son's birthday, hopefully, because it is snowing, and so we did get some messages saying that our flight might be delayed or canceled just depending on weather. I don't want this to be like the focus of my thoughts or my attention tomorrow or Thursday when we're supposed to go to Disneyland. It is 14 DPO, I'm pretty sure, 15 days past IUI and 16 days past trigger. So this is the day that I am officially supposed to take the pregnancy test. And I'm not in my bathroom because we just went to Disneyland. That is also why I look like this. That was yesterday. So if this is negative, which I feel like it's going to be, that will definitely help ease the blow. I also think it helps that the last time I took a test, it was basically negative. Like there was that tiny, tiny faint line, but all of that has kind of prepared me for this to be negative. So I'm going to dip this and we'll see. And I don't have my camera stand, so I have to hold this. There it goes. All right, this is the best I can do in lieu of a camera stand. Okay, it's been 5 minutes, so here we go. Yep, that is very negative. Like I don't even see like a highlight of a line anymore, so that's sad. I mean, it's what I expected, but yeah, so that means that IUI number 1 did not work. It's been a few minutes. Alex looked at it too. He's like, I don't see anything, so I'm disappointed, but I don't feel super distraught right now since it is kind of what I expected. All right, I'm gonna end this here because trying to talk to the camera with my almost 3-year-old in the room is probably not gonna work out. So thank you so much for watching and for your support, for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.